Welcome to episode 710 of the Entertainment 2.0 podcast, brought to you by thedigitalmediazone.com. I'm Josh Pollard.
And I'm Richard Gunther, and this is the show that puts you in control of your favorite movies, music, shows, and games.
And we're both back this week.
Yeah.
Yay. It's always more fun to have you here with me, Richard, so glad we could make this work. And this was the only night this was going to work. It's been very rough to schedule. Turns out, May is always bad when you have kids. It's even worse when one of those kids is graduating high school.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's nuts. But that's not why people are here. They're here to hear about the news and to poke fun at me. So, fun, interesting show this week. Lots of audio news for you. One of my predictions came right also, unfortunately. But we're going to start it off with a piece of listener feedback that was one of the funniest things I received this week. So this was sent to us at entertainment20 at thedigitalmediazone.com, and it's from longtime listener Paul. The subject of his email was, "I told you to trust me," smiley face. And he says, "Here's an email that I sent to you about 7 months ago. Have you heard of Dungeon Crawler Carl?" I'm not going to read this whole email. That's enough for you to get it, right? Yeah. Paul, you were right. I should have listened to you the first time. But he was right. So anyway, he copy and pasted that previous email, and then he added on to it and said, "I'm glad you tried it. It is, in fact, only one narrator," which is incredible. Like, listening, I finished the book this week, and now that I know that it's only one person doing all these voices, I am even more impressed by the narrator. And Paul says that the narrator gets better and better each book. They also have a different version of the book in an app called Sound Booth Theater. It's called the Audio Immersion Tunnel. It's basically like listening to a movie. It has sound effects and music during the boss battles and things like that. But Paul doesn't recommend, he does recommend listening to the regular Audible version first for people who just want to try out this book. It's so fun. I finished the first book. I loved it. I will continue to read the books in the series. Are you going to give it a try, Richard?
I've already bought it with a credit. So
Perfect.
I have multiple people in my life pressuring me to get on board with this now.
It's really blowing up right now.
Yeah, like crazy.
Yeah.
Like absolute crazy. It is, center front shelf in bookstores to the extent that you still find bookstores. This is the hot thing right now. And yeah. I mean, I told my friends the same thing that I said when Paul recommended this, which is that it's really not my genre at all, but I'll try one and I'll see what I think.
Yeah. I'm really curious to hear what you think, because I didn't think Jen would like this either, and she's friggin' loved him. So we will see. Okay, so let's move on to our news, and this is a video story because I'm saying it's a video story.
Oh, good grief! It kind of is.
Richard loves when I do stuff.
No,
like
it is.
It is. It's actually about Android Auto, and we don't talk a ton about Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but I think that has more to do with the fact that they don't get meaningful updates very often than anything else, because we're both big fans. We both use these every time we drive, and I think most people who have more modern vehicles who have these in their cars are using them to listen to their favorite entertainment, and that's what we talk about on the show. So this week, Google had a huge developer conference, and one of the many, many, many things that they discussed were some updates coming to Android Auto later this year. And Of course, there's Gemini updates. You can use Gemini to do even more crazy things, including I saw a thing that said you could use Gemini in your phone to make a DoorDash order, which feels a little bit too complex to do while you're driving, but okay. Anyway,
I mean, I can't even get Gemini to find programs for me on the TV. Do you really think I'm going to trust it to order something for me and spend my money? No, no.
I think we have to try this now. Maybe not. Maybe not. So what are the features we actually care about? Well, for years, people have looked for various hacks to be able to have video playback on their Android Auto displays. And Richard and I are both of the strong opinion that no, you should not be doing this because you should not be watching video while you're driving. And of course, everybody who does this says, I don't want to do it while I'm driving. I want to do it while I'm parked, waiting for my kid to get out of their theater practice, or maybe it is while I'm driving, but it's for the kids in the back seat or whatever. So Android Auto is bringing video playback to everybody, but there are some limitations, and they're important ones. Like that video will only play video while your car is in park.
Smart.
I wonder how that works with cars like mine that have a manual transmission.
It's probably if it's in motion or not.
Yeah, hopefully. And then if you start moving, it doesn't just kill the video. This is what I think is smart about it. It doesn't just stop. It only cuts the video out. You still get to listen to what it is that you were watching, but you can't watch it. And this is the one feature that I kind of like, where I could see myself using it the most, because there are times for me where I want to listen to a hockey game while I'm driving, but there isn't always like radio type solutions for that and everything. But I have ESPN Plus, so I open up ESPN Plus app on my phone, start watching the game, and then I put the phone away so that I cannot see the screen because I don't need to. I just want to listen to the audio broadcast, and that is what this is doing. It will work for YouTube and some other services, but I imagine they're going to lock this down in some ways. So we'll see what is actually supported when this starts to roll out later this year. The other thing they're bringing is support for Dolby Atmos. And I don't know how to feel about this. Maybe it's because I don't feel like I've ever had a car that has like audio that really blows me away. Plus, my car is a little tiny sports car that is super loud on the highway. And I don't know, Richard, you've actually got your vehicle is far closer to a home theater experience than mine.
Yeah.
Are you excited about Dolby Atmos in your car?
I mean, I would love that because I have the speakers all over the place, including in my headrest. So Dolby Atmos would probably sound amazing in my car. And the times that I have the whole spatial audio for certain songs in the car, it sounds pretty damn good. So I think this would be cool. And I'm a little bit jealous because I can't do this with Apple AirPlay.
Right.
Or CarPlay, rather.
Yeah.
So, I have to imagine that this is something that's going to require apps to support, though. I wouldn't expect that any video app is suddenly going to be enabled here because those apps don't even show up in the car most of the time. So I think that if you're going to see support for anything other than YouTube, it will be because that app has enabled this capability. And then similarly, it will also have to allow for that playback when it's not actually visible.
Right. Yeah. So, and that is why features like this get announced at developer conferences, so that the developers can start working
Right.
with whatever features need to happen for these apps to be supported.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
hopefully
and
when it launches, there will be a whole bunch of apps that support it.
think about something like the ESPN app. This would be ideal in something like that.
Right? Exactly. That's what I want. I also kind of want it for the exact same use case in in Plex, because I could be live streaming live TV, like for a Detroit Lions football game, to my phone and be listening to it that way. That would be cool. I think that is highly unlikely, but my current workaround of, it's still a Bluetooth audio connection will still just work for me. So
Yeah, I think you've mentioned that use case before. I think it's not necessarily unique, but probably not overwhelmingly common.
right. Probably not. No. Okay. So let's get on with the actual audio news, because there's a bunch of that too. We're going to start with Spotify. Spotify kind of surprised everybody. Spotify is celebrating their 20th birthday, which is shocking to me. I had no idea Spotify came out in 2006. Really?
It doesn't surprise me.
That just seems like so long ago. But,
yeah, I mean, they were a desktop app.
Right.
It was like before the idea of having something on your iPhone.
The iPhone didn't even exist.
Right.
Let alone have apps yet, because the iPhone didn't even get apps for another year. So,
right.
Wow. Yeah. So Spotify is 20 years old, and for its birthday, it's getting us a present. And that is the form of something sort of like Spotify Wrapped, but it's looking at your total history over your entire usage of Spotify, which sounds really, really cool, right? And it's actually a little bit of a letdown. It's cool, but it's not like Spotify Wrapped has become this massive thing where they give you so much data about what you've listened to over the previous year. And in this case, it's like, we've got all of this data about everything that you've listened to forever. And they give you like 5 pieces of information. So it's nice to see. But what you're getting is the first song you ever listened to, which they put into a quiz. They're like, all right, here's the day that you first started listening. Here are 4 songs. Which one do you think was the first song you listened to? So at least it's a little bit interactive there. I guessed wrong. My first song in Spotify was in 2011. So, I'm 15 years a Spotify user. Then it tells you the total number of songs you've listened to. And mine was about 32,000, which is more. It's pushing 3 times as many songs as what Jen has listened to, but her account isn't as old as mine. So I don't really know how to judge that, but I think that's probably on the higher side for a lot of people. Curious to hear what other people got. And then it also tells you your most played artist and the number of minutes you listened to that artist. And for me, it was the Avett Brothers, which kind of surprised me, at almost 12,000 minutes listening to them. I didn't do the math to see like how many days that is. It's a lot. Right. And then lastly, they give you a playlist of your 120 most played songs in order by number of times you played them. And it even shows you in the playlist how many times you listen to that song. For me, it's a little bit polluted because when I first started listening to Spotify, I was sharing an account with Jen and all of that nonsense. And so there's some of her junk in there. Jen's is completely ruined because she used her music for sleep songs for both of our children. So like her top 20 songs are all just like random sleep songs. So there are some problems with this, but in the end, it's kind of fun, but it's not as cool as Spotify Wrapped.
Cool idea, though.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. 2011, is that when you said you joined?
Yeah.
So I guess that doesn't surprise me. And that was probably roughly around the time that it became available in the US. If you remember, Spotify was available in the UK for years before we had access to it.
Oh, I had kind of forgotten that detail. Right, because they're a Swedish company.
Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe it was like right after they came to the US. All right. Well, we're going to stick with Spotify. Another interesting thing that you can do with Spotify, but this is going to require some effort on your part. So first, let's like roll out the dream scenario of what you can do. Have you ever wanted to use Spotify as your podcast player? Like maybe you love Spotify as your podcast player. That's not me, but it is true for a lot of people. But you wanted to use AI to generate like the exact podcast that you want to listen to.
We need a sound effect for Richard rolling his eyes.
This is why people need to watch the video. It's getting pretty serious over here. Over on YouTube, like and subscribe to our channel. Yeah. So you can do this now, and it's pretty cool, but you do have to be fairly advanced with the AI tools to be able to do this. So what they've done is they have made a GitHub repository where you can download some scripts, and if you're fluent with things like Claude Code or OpenAI's Codex, then you can use those tools to then build podcast episodes. Most of that work is on your own. Like you're just going to have to work with your AI tool to build that. Once you have an audio file, then you can use these skills that Spotify has made to upload that audio file to Spotify's servers as a podcast that only shows up for you, which is kind of cool. And like the use cases are basically infinite, right? Like you could do whatever you want with this. Some of their examples are, make it, use a text-to-speech engine to generate a podcast out of, looking at your daily weather report and your calendar to give you a morning update for the day, and maybe mix in some news. You could take your study notes for an exam that you have later that day and turn that into an audio study guide that you're going to listen to. There's a bajillion different options that you could do with this, and then just make it show up in Spotify. And that's pretty friggin' cool, I think. You don't look excited about this, Richard.
This is the last thing that I want. I mean, first of all, I don't really think this is anything new. Amazon's A-Lady has been able to do this sort of stuff since they first came out with Skills. You could basically automate a morning brief and tell it what content you wanted. You could give it content to include in that. So I don't yay, big deal. I don't know. And then let's talk about what we know of AI generated podcasts so far. The best well-known example is Notebook LM. And all you have to do is listen to about 3 or 4 episodes with those AI hosts before they really start grating on your nerves.
That's true.
So until and unless the experience gets better and they have something to offer other than what we already have, I just don't see why this is compelling at all.
Well, and the only thing that Spotify is really doing here is giving you the ability to put it on Spotify.
Yeah, upload your own file and but I mean, I could upload it just to play it on VLC on my device, right? Like, I don't understand why Spotify even needs to be in the mix here.
Because it's a far easier way to consume it, because you're going to have Spotify on everything.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it.
Okay.
I think that's part of it.
Okay. Yeah.
So
this doesn't make me miss Spotify.
Okay, that's fair. That isn't why you left Spotify in the first place. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But hey, for anybody who is doing cool things with this, or maybe you've got a better solution, let us know what you're doing. All right. Last audio story.
Yeah. Also in the category of things Richard isn't excited about. So
What a joyous show.
I told you before we started, I was cranky. So Bose has announced that it is launching a new line of smart speakers. Okay. Tell me if you've heard this before. They're going to no. I joke. So Bose is creating a new line called Lifestyle Ultra. It's going to include standalone speakers, a soundbar, subwoofer. You'll be able to connect them together to create the multi-speaker and surround experiences. We have heard this before because Bose has done this before twice, and we'll talk about that in a bit. What's different here is that they fully admit that they know they've done this before. They've learned along the way. They have some great technology that they want to use. They've also scrapped some of this stuff that doesn't make any sense anymore. They still have an app, but the only thing you're going to use it for is to set up the speakers, to pair them, to make them part of this system. Otherwise, the app isn't necessary. You're not going to use the app to play music. You're not going to use the app to call up different ecosystems. Bose got out of that business. It doesn't make sense for them to do that. That's kind of what Sonos and Denon Hios and all these other systems are trying to do, pull in everything and kind of be your one-stop shop for content on their speakers. Instead, you'll use AirPlay, Cast, or Spotify Connect to control the content that you listen to on these speakers. So the apps that you're already comfortable with, that perhaps your smart speakers in your home already know how to control. And this way, you don't have yet another thing that's separate from those and needs to somehow tie into those ecosystems. It will have an assistant on board. It'll be Amazon's AI-enabled assistant that's on board. Remember, that assistant, it requires a subscription unless you are an Amazon Prime member, and then you get that Plus service with the assistant for free.
Amazon's A-Lady Plus.
A-Lady Plus. Yeah. Yeah. So you'll be able to use that assistant. There may be some future arrangements with other assistants, but right now that's all they're really talking about.
So, Richard, this is sounding pretty good. What's the problem here?
Yeah. Well, the problem is, do we trust them with doing this? Because twice now they've come out with systems. They did this in 2013. They did this in 2018. And they have discontinued both lines of those speakers. And I don't mean discontinued. I mean, they're unusable now. So these speakers, in theory, because they are AirPlay and Cast and Spotify Connect compatible, wouldn't have that end of life worry that you might worry about if, in fact, Bose decides to turn off a server sometime in the future. But it's, how long are they going to continue to support it? How long will they provide updates for it? They don't have a great history of doing this. In fact, they have a history of creating things and throwing them out. Even these two former things were not compatible with each other, and now they are not. This new system isn't compatible with those old speakers either. So every one of these ecosystem investments is its own sunk cost, if you will.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, if I were looking at this and I didn't have Sonos around the house already, I would be asking myself, do I trust Bose to keep this line alive? And the answer to that question for me would be, well, certainly not in year one.
Yeah.
Right? Like I want this to exist for a little bit to see how it does before I would consider investing in it.
Yeah. But to your point, as long as Google Cast or AirPlay or Spotify Connect work, these will always be functional speakers, right?
Yep. In theory, that is the case. I guess the concern would be, could the ability to maybe pair them together in these surround modes and pair them in stereo pairs and such, could that potentially go away if they ever abandoned maintaining the app because they no longer want to maintain this ecosystem of speakers? Now, I haven't talked price at all. These are competitively priced with the other premium stuff out there. It's $300 for a standalone speaker. So a stereo pair would be $600. A sound bar is $1,100. Subwoofer is $900. It's fairly on par, a little bit more expensive than the Sonos speakers, but not out of line, really.
No, I mean, definitely more expensive. And it does feel weird to be like, oh, it's a Sonos competitor and it's more expensive than Sonos because like that's the knock against Sonos. I mean, other than their terrible app, is it's kind of expensive for what it is. So for it to be even more expensive than Sonos is a little bit harder to swallow. But like you said, it's not dramatically more expensive than Sonos.
Right. And remember, Bose, as much as this makes me giggle, Bose still kind of thinks of themselves as a premium brand.
Right.
Right. So, and in the premium audio market, they are not.
No.
They're at the low end of that premium segment, but they think of themselves as premium.
Yeah, exactly. Well, all right. So you're not going to be rushing out and buying these. Neither am I.
Nope.
But I would be probably more interested than you would be, just because I like the idea of good sounding speakers that support Google Cast and Spotify Connect.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into our gaming news. And here is where I have to be sad that I was right. I began saying in December, hey guys, this RAM crisis, it's for real and it's not going away anytime soon. So if you want to be buying some PCs or video game hardware or anything like that, buy it soon because the prices of all of these things are going up. I said, I guarantee you that we will see increases across all three of the major video game consoles this year. I think it was the last couple of episodes of this show, we talked about the PlayStation 5 getting more expensive. And here we are talking about the Nintendo Switch 2 getting more expensive. That's right. The Switch 2 has been out for 1 year. It came out last April. And starting on September 1st here in the US, it is going up by $50 to $500 to get yourself a Nintendo Switch 2. If you're in Japan, it's even worse. It's happening May 25th there. And actually, in Japan, it's getting worse across the board. The online service is getting more expensive. That's not RAM. And even the first Nintendo Switch consoles are getting more expensive there. So this sucks. But hey, at least you're getting a bunch of notice, I guess. Normally, I think is the weird part of this. Like when Sony announced the PlayStation 5 is getting more expensive, you had like a week or a week and a
right.
half.
It was like, now.
Right. You may not have time for your next paycheck to come before you need to go out and buy.
Right.
Like, at least this one, you've got all summer, I guess. So you've got a little bit of time to figure out if you're going to go and buy a Switch 2 before the price increases. But yeah.
Well, it's pretty smart because this will create some summer demand, which I would imagine isn't really hot selling period for game consoles.
No, not usually. Although, like, everything is different with Nintendo. They play in their own universe. So they could announce tomorrow that they're launching a new Zelda game in July, and it wouldn't matter that it was July. It would still sell like crazy. So
yeah.
Who knows? But yeah. It's going up, but at least you've got a few months to figure this out for yourself before you pull the trigger on needing to spend another $50 to get yourself a Switch 2. Man, $500 for a Nintendo Switch. Sheesh.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2026 for you. All right. And this one, I'm going to be honest here, folks. It's news. It's not news that I can even completely understand myself, even as a gamer. Xbox Game Pass is doing a collaboration with Discord and making it so that if you are a Discord Nitro subscriber, which currently costs $10 a month, you will now be getting a version of Xbox Game Pass called Starter Edition at no additional cost. So you're paying $10 for Discord and you get essentially the $10 version of Xbox Game Pass. No, actually, I think this is $12 version of Game Pass for free. So that's a good deal, I guess. I just don't really understand Discord Nitro.
Well, I mean, that's because there really isn't much there, right? I mean, I think the headline here is Xbox adds value to Discord Nitro finally.
That's kind of how it feels to me. Yeah.
I mean, because Nitro has really been nothing but an upsell to hardcore Discord users who want HD. Because beyond that, it's nothing more than, oh, I can put my own avatars here and I can change the colors differently than I could if I were a free user. And a whole bunch of stuff that really doesn't add value unless you are an all-in hardcore Discord user.
Yeah. Yeah. I only know one person in my immediate circle of friends that's a Discord Nitro person. And I think that person also like follows a lot of Twitch streamers and stuff like that. So like there probably is a use case there for people like that. But I don't get it. The reverse is also going to be true, sort of. Not all the details are available yet, though. The press release just says eligible Game Pass subscriptions will include Discord Nitro for free, but it doesn't even say which versions of Game Pass that would require. So we'll see, I guess, when that becomes a real thing. But if you are a Game Pass subscriber or interested in it and you're already a Discord person, well, hey, good news. You get access to about 50 free games in the Game Pass library and 10 hours of cloud streaming per month. So that's cool, I guess. Like maybe that makes some more Game Pass subscribers out of hardcore Discord people. Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for the news this week. Richard, it's been a while. What's been going on in your entertainment center and all that?
A lot, including some efforts to save some money. So we've talked repeatedly about increasing prices of subscription services, and I wasn't kidding when I said enough. Right, I wasn't going to pay these extra increases. So I did downgrade my Netflix subscription from the whatever it was called, Ultimate Plan or whatever, to the standard plan. So I no longer have Dolby Atmos. I no longer have 4K, and I don't care. I can live without it. It's not worth the extra. I think it was going to be like $6 more than what I'm paying. It's just ridiculous. So not worth it to me. There's two of us watching this. So, and I'm pretty sure that every single one of the TVs that I own upscales. So I also changed my YouTube TV subscription now that they offer plans. And the plan that I wanted isn't something that they explicitly name. What I wanted was everything but sports.
Right.
And apparently that's not that common. So they list the different plans that they have, and then there's an option for, is there some other combination that you wanted? And I selected that, and then you can pick and choose the things that you want. And so I selected news, entertainment, and family plan. Now, interestingly enough, unless you get everything, there are a couple things that just don't come with it. And the biggest example that I can think of is Bloomberg. Bloomberg is not included unless you get everything.
What?
Yep.
Okay, Bloomberg.
Right. Be that way. Well, you're so important.
But Bloomberg is like the only people who watch this channel are millionaires, so they don't care how much they're paying for YouTube TV.
Fair. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. So yeah, I switched to news, entertainment, and family plan. I think I'm saving like $15 a month or something like that. So that's great. Like, why pay for all the sports channels that I'm never going to watch?
Yeah.
Just doesn't make sense for me. I want to change my YouTube plan now that there are plans that allow me to get no ads, audio only, and downloads without having to have music, because I don't care about YouTube Music. You and I have talked about this for years.
Yep.
There's now a way to do that. I get YouTube through my Verizon plan, and Josh, I can't for the life of me figure out how to actually make this change. I think I literally have to change and therefore restart my Verizon contract
What?
to be able to change my YouTube plan. Now, this is only from trying to figure out how to do it online. And anyone who has Verizon services knows what an S show it is to try to make changes to your account online. They just throw all these numbers at you that don't look like they have anything to do with what you're actually paying and what you think you should be paying, because it's like, it's like car salesman math. So I really want to talk to somebody, and until I have a moment to call in and talk to somebody and figure out what impact this is really going to have, I'm not going to make this change. But my goal is to just downgrade my YouTube, because I don't care about music. No use for me paying, and it's a discounted plan. That's why I get it through Verizon. But still, I don't need music, so why pay for that?
Right. So you'd rather have YouTube Premium Lite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So watched a lot of television. We finished the second season of Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Loved it. Can't wait for the third season. They did a very good job of setting that up. We finished the weird 29th season of The Voice. I hope they never do that again. I'd rather them go back to the normal formula. This was just unnecessary and weird. We finished season 5 of Abbott Elementary. It was great. I'm glad we actually got 22 episodes. It annoys the crap out of me that they just teased us along, first with 10, then with 13, and then finally a 22 episode buy. This is a great show. It wins Emmys every season. I don't understand why the network can't just commit to this. I did finish the first season of Fallout, enough so that I will watch the second season, but I haven't started it yet. So it has my attention, but it's not a priority because there's a lot of stuff right now.
Yeah.
I did start The Night Agent, not to be confused with The Night Manager. The Night Agent season 3, and I had watched the previous 2 seasons on Netflix. Was happy to see that the third season is here. It's actually all out already, and this will be the last season, but I'm looking forward to working my way through that. We watched episodes of Ghosts, For All Mankind. I'm loving For All Mankind. It's been really good this season, and I know there's another season. I don't know if there's 1 or 2 more seasons, but I know there's more, so I'm happy about that. A couple episodes of the Bob Newhart Show, and getting back to The Courtship of Eddie's Father, because the last couple of weeks with all the crazy news, I've really needed some feel-good TV, and The Courtship of Eddie's Father is good feel-good TV. I watched HGTV's Smart Home 2026.
Ooh, I didn't know about this.
Yes. So now you all know. You don't have to watch it. It was a complete waste of time.
Wow.
There's barely anything smart in it, which I think can be evidenced by the fact that, if I remember correctly, they had, I'm just counting in my head. Oh, right. No smart home sponsors. None. Not even a security company.
What?
So yeah, it was lame. If this is where they're going with this, they should just give up, because it was terrible. Something that wasn't terrible was a movie I've wanted to watch for a while, and I was real happy to hear Edward come back from a trip saying, hey, the guy next to me on the plane was watching some Predator movie. Is there a new Predator movie? I said, yes. As a matter of fact, there is Predator Badlands, and I've been wanting to watch it. So we did, and it was fun. It was a really cool movie. If you like the Predator lore, it gives you some background on the Predators and ties in a bit with the world that we know with Wayland Industries and them trying to like mine the galaxy for weapon-like creatures. So it was definitely worth a watch. I think it's an hour and a half long, and I would absolutely recommend it. I hope they do another one because they certainly set it up for another one. Also,
So, quick question. I think I know the answer to this because this isn't like that, I don't know, dramatic, but it's Predator. You said, if you're familiar with Predator lore, blah, blah, blah. What if you're not? Like, if you've never seen any Predator movies, you're just looking for a fun, dumb action movie. Still good?
Hard for me to put myself behind that lens, but I think it could be.
Okay.
I think it could be.
All right. Jen and I always like a good, dumb action movie.
So you've never seen any Predator anything?
Well, I know that she hasn't. I for sure saw the original one. Probably a few times as a kid, but I don't know that I've seen anything since the original one, though.
I would say that there's nothing that you absolutely have to know to get the gist of what's going on.
Yeah. Okay.
But if you do, there's lots of good callbacks and references that you'll recognize.
Okay.
All right. On the listening front, I think I mentioned that I was going to be recording an episode of a podcast for The Verge. I recently recorded an episode of Version History for The Verge with host David Pierce. And because I was doing that, I subscribed to the podcast to get a feel for, how it plays out and what the formula is. It's a really cool concept. They basically take a technology, dead or alive, and dive deep. And I mean, deep, deep, deep. And I don't remember if I mentioned this on the last episode I recorded, but I listened to an episode about TiVo. And I listened to an episode, what was the other one I listened to? I can't even remember the other one that I listened to, but they were really, really good because it just gets into the history of all of this. Oh, and I think I had pinged you with a question. What was that magic number that Microsoft had for users for Media Center? And if I remember correctly, I think it was around the 6 million figure.
Yeah.
Something like that. And one of the things they reveal in this episode was that at peak TiVo, the most active users that they had in their history at peak TiVo time was around 1.5 million users.
That's wild because everyone knew about TiVo.
Right. And that's the thing that's so fascinating. It became such a part of the zeitgeist.
Right.
And it became so much like Kleenex and Xerox and stuff like that.
It was the verb for recording digital
exactly.
video. Yes.
Exactly. And the sounds, ba-doop, ba-doop, ba-doop. I mean, you make those noises, everybody knows what you're talking about, right? Yep. But it was just as consumer electronics go in the world, it was not a success, which is just fascinating.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I love that you brought up the sounds because I have a friend who he had a TiVo, who's one of the only 1.2 million people who had a TiVo apparently. And they would, they figured out the right way to use a TiVo, which was, I still want to watch the show tonight, but I still want to be able to skip commercials. So their phrase was, we're going to start at 15 minutes late so we have room to badoop.
To badoop.
Yeah. TiVo, man.
I have a friend that every once in a while, and it's a joke. It's a little rude, but it's a joke. where if his wife is talking and he gets it, he's just like, okay, move on. He'll go badoop badoop.
That's amazing.
Like, okay, you can move on now. I get it. Okay. Anyway, I highly recommend this. And if you do subscribe now, you will absolutely hear an episode with me talking about Phillips Hue with my friend Jen Tui, who is also on the show.
Oh, perfect.
And then shortly after that, about a week or so after that, there will be an episode about Logitech Harmony. I was not a part of that, but I'm very excited to hear that because obviously
Right.
that's something I'm still somewhat invested in.
Yeah, like all of these episodes are episodes you could have been on.
Right. Yeah. All right.
That's
And then finally, I have started a new book. I am listening to author David Swinson's From the Dust. If the author name sounds familiar, it's because I've listened to not nearly, I've listened to every one of his books. I know David Swinson personally, and he writes novels about basically police stuff and detective stuff because that's what he knows. He's a retired detective. And I find the characters that he develops across multiple books really fascinating. And I'm very excited that he has a new book out. So if that's something that interests you, I highly recommend his new one, From the Dust.
nice.
And that is it for me.
Okay. Well, it's okay that yours took a little bit longer than usual because mine is not. I mean, I did the show last week, so I don't have as much to cover, but it's been a really crazy week since then. So I've played a little bit more Forza Horizon 5, a little bit more of Mini Shoot Adventures. I've talked about both of those a lot in the past. No movies, no projects. The only TV that I've watched is a little bit of hockey. That's it. Books, I already mentioned I finished the first book of Dungeon Crawler Carl. Yes, I'm always going to have to say that slowly.
Oh,
to
it's
be able
hard.
to say
It's
it.
hard to say.
Yes. And then started a new book for my book club. It's a book called The Wedding People by Allison Espich. Is that how you would guess the last name is
I have
pronounced?
absolutely no idea.
Sure.
ESPACH.
Yeah. I think this is a pretty popular book right now, and I think it's a really popular book for book clubs because I think there's going to be a lot to talk about in this book. It's a really interesting setup. It is a novel. Basically, there is a bride who has rented out an entire little boutique hotel. It's not one of those giant ones. It's a boutique hotel for her wedding. At least she thought she did, because there's one extra person who has a room at the hotel, and she has her own interesting story. Her life is at rock bottom and is just looking to do something interesting. And I'm not going to say anything else about the story. I'm just a few chapters in. I'm really liking it already. I think it's going to be a really interesting book to read and discuss with my book club. So I'll give you a better update next week when I should be close to done. So
Cool.
it's fun. It's fun. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's show. If you would like to get a hold of us, you can do it in a lot of different ways. We're on the socials. Josh Pollard on X and Blue Sky. Use Blue Sky, please. Digimedia Zone on X. Richard is Richard Gunther on Mastodon is his primary, but he is also richardgunther.com on Blue Sky. And just another reminder, if you want to see all of those eye rolls every time we talk about AI from Richard, go over to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe to us over there. The video is fun and you'll enjoy it. So that is going to do it for episode 710. He's Richard Gunther. I'm Josh Pollard. Thanks for listening to Entertainment 2.0. Adios.
Goodbye.